I just want you guys to see the chaotic mess that is this hair before I put my hat on and film this video. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Eric and I like to read, and today I'm going to be doing my June wrap up. So I read quite a few books in the month of June. I did not complete my TBR, however, so I'm actually currently reading Gear Breakers right now because that's a book that I meant to read in June, and I just did not get to it because the other books took me longer to read. So yeah, that one's carried over into my July TBR, and I'm currently reading that one right now. But I did read a lot of great books throughout the month of June. It was Pride Month, so a lot of them were LGBTQ plus rep books, and I really enjoyed most of them. So I'm excited to share with you guys what I thought about them. So let's just dive right in. And the first book that I read is the graphic novel Check Please, Volume 2. I loved it. I loved it so much. I loved the first one as well, and I was really excited to dive into this one. So this one is following his last 2 years of university because in the first one he starts out university and it follows his first 2 years. So this is kind of like the wrap up of the series. I don't think there's going to be more on the Check Please like world, but I wish there was because I just love it so much. Eric Biddle, aka Biddy, is like the biggest cinnamon roll. I've said that so many times, but like it's true. He's the biggest cinnamon roll character like I've ever encountered in a book or graphic novel, and I just like I love him to bits. He's awesome, and love him to bits. Look at that. I'm being punny. I also just love how supportive this hockey team is, and they're like a big family, which is what you would like envision a sports team to be, and I don't think they're always like that, so it's really nice to see that displayed in this graphic novel. It's just so cute, and I really like all the different things that Eric bakes. He is a fantastic baker and talks about it on his vlog that he does, and he shows off all like the different pies he makes throughout the series, and I just love it. Like I would love to live in the same house as this guy because I would constantly be fed different pie recipes, and yeah, I cannot get enough pie, so that would be fantastic. But I strongly recommend these graphic novels to anybody that wants just like a cute, adorable read, kind of similar to like Heartstopper. If you want like the same vibes, this is definitely something you should check out. It also has a lot to do with hockey, so if you like hockey, then that's great too. And so this, of course, got a 5 out of 5 stars for me. Then next up, I read Hot News by Caleb Pine. This was like a quick book that I wanted to just read real fast, and I did. I gave this one a 3 out of 5. It was okay. I feel like the storyline could have been like a little bit longer or had more to it, but there was a lot of hard-hitting moments in it. So if you don't know, this is about two men that meet after one's fiance passes away, and so he's kind of struggling with the death of his fiance, and then the other one was cheated on, and so like the two of them kind of come together at a chance encounter of meeting in a coffee shop, and the story goes from there. I will say some scenes were very steamy and I was here for it. But I just like it was one of those like in the middle books where I was like I liked it, but it was just like okay. So I left it at a 3 out of 5 rating, and I would definitely read more by this author because I believe that these stories are fun and like they're kind of like palate cleansers that just kind of like are little nice breaks between all these like big heavy books. There were a few grammatical errors that also kind of like brought me out of the story a bit. But that being said, the story was still decent. It's just hard for me to like keep going with the story when I notice these things, and they don't happen too often, so that's not that bad. But yeah, grammatical errors or spelling mistakes really like pull me out of a book no matter what. So yeah. And I wouldn't necessarily say that's the author's fault. I would more say that's like the editor or like the publishing company because they let the book get through with certain spelling mistakes that they probably should have caught when they were doing their editing before publishing. So, yeah. Then I read The Girls Ive Been, which was a NetGalley arc that I had. This book already came out because a lot of the NetGalley arcs I do have, I end up reading after they've already been published because I'm just so behind on all my TBRs and my digital TBRs, like all of them. I'm just behind. I'm in a constant state of behind on my reading, but I've just grown to accept that. Anyways, this book was awesome. I loved it. I think I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It was about a main character who she is bisexual, and so she has a current girlfriend, and an ex-boyfriend, and they're all going together to a bank to deposit like charity funds for some event that they did together. And while they are at the bank gets robbed. And so now it is her trying to get them out of this situation. But what the bank robbers don't know is that this girl was raised by con artists. So she's essentially grown up as a con artist, and she has many skills that they are not aware of. And so she is kind of like conning the bank robbers into doing things that she wants and just essentially trying to survive. It was really cool. Like I really enjoyed this book because in this book you're in a constant state of like panic because you don't know what's going to happen next. And it also does lots of flashbacks to her and her different like conning stories from her past with her parents, so that you kind of get like a background on the main character, as well as be thrown into like the current situation and what's going to happen. And it's just like, yeah, you're constantly like tense because you don't know what's going to happen next. And I really liked that. I love books that do that, that just grip you and hold you in there, and you have to keep reading because you want to know what's going to happen. I also think that her sexuality coming into play was great because they put a highlight on bisexualness, and that you can like either gender, or that it's not just like, oh, it's a phase. No, like you like both. And I think that they really highlighted that well in this book and discussed it in many ways that was very like enlightening to see in a book. The next book I read was Some Girls Do. This was another arc that I had on NetGalley, and this one was also like a very like heartwarming book. It was a story of two girls who kind of come together in high school. So one girl, her name is Ruby, and she has grown up doing like these beauty pageants, and that is mainly because her mom has been wanting her to do these her whole life. But Ruby is really more into like mechanics and fixing cars. So she has like this car that she's fixed up, and it's like her prized possession, and she just like drives this thing around and loves it. Which I think is really cool because it shows that like just because she does beauty pageants, she also has other interests. And I feel like a lot of the time when you think of people that do beauty pageants, you don't think that they like have these other cool interests like that. So I just think it was cool that they were like showing off the different things that she does enjoy. And then the other main character, I cannot remember their name right now, but they're like a track star, and they had to switch schools because they recently came out at their other school. And a lot of the parents had like backlash because of this, because this girl came out at their school. It was like a private school or something like that. And so she had to actually move schools while her parents like opened up a lawsuit against this school. And so it's the story of the two of them kind of like meeting at school and developing a relationship between the two of them. And it was a really great read because it really embodies the struggle of being like bisexual and being out and open in the community. I think the book perfectly envisions what it's like to be bisexual and to struggle with your feelings and want to act on them, but also be scared to act on them at the same time. I think that it was really like evident in one of the characters that they were going through this, and it was just really nice to see like their journey, to see all the different things they went through, but also all the things that they gained from going through these things. I also really liked the positive notes of moving forward with the LGBTQ plus community and having a positive voice for youth from that community to like go towards and just have some place where they feel like welcome. And yeah, so like that was really nice. Another thing that this book really embodies is that it's okay to not come out right away or not to come out ever. It's everybody's choice to come out if they want to, but they never have to or they should never feel like they're forced to come out. It's always up to that person and that person only. So I really enjoyed that the book kind of discussed that in like a narrative way, and I liked that. I ended up giving this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was a great time. I read it pretty quickly. I just gave it a 3.5 and not like higher because like it was solely focused on like those two characters, and there was not really many like outer things happening. So I feel like there could have been like a couple more things added to the plot, but overall like it was still a really good book. Then I read my blog book. So this is the one that I chose from the TBR jar, and that was Ultima, which is a translated thriller series. This is actually the third book in the series, but I looked it up and you can read all of them as like standalones, which this one definitely holds up as a standalone. And so this one is following a main character who's like an art dealer slash curator, and she gets drawn into this kind of like mafia style situation where it's kind of like life or death for her. Like she needs to sell this certain painting, but it's a fake painting, for a lot of money for this client, or else she will get murdered. And so it's really interesting to see like all the different things that she has to go through to make this piece of art seem as real as possible, and to like trick all the people in the art world. Yeah, it's really interesting, but like at the same time she's also trying to stay alive, because if she like messes up in any way, like they're gonna kill her. And so yeah, I thought that the book was pretty decent. Like I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. There were some random sex scenes in here that I was not expecting, and they were very graphic. So that kind of caught me off guard. Like I'm pretty sure the first page of this book is like a very, very erotic scene, and I was like, whoa, what am I getting myself into? But yeah, no, like I thought the book was really cool. I thought that the main character was very like individualized, if that makes sense. Like she was a very morally gray character and kind of just did like whatever she wanted, but like also within the constraints of making sure that she like stayed alive and didn't stray from like the job that she was working on. So I thought it was pretty cool. I think it was a little long for my taste, because a lot of it like went very much into the details of the art, and like I do like art, and like I studied some fine arts in school, so like I found that very interesting to like see in this book. But a lot of the time like it went really into detail about it, which I guess makes sense because they're trying to explain like how she's faking the paintings and things like that. But I don't know, I feel like it could have been a little shorter, but it was still pretty good. And yeah, if you want like a cool art related thriller series, then maybe pick up this series, but probably start with like the first and second one. I think it says on the back. Yeah, Maestra is the first one, Domina is the second one, and then Ultima is the third one. So yeah, if you like that kind of stuff, then this could be a book for you. Then next up, I read Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas, and I read this with Hillary from Melted Books. We did a buddy read together. I enjoyed this book. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was really good. It definitely focuses a lot on like the two characters and the dialogue between them, more than like there's a plot, but both Hillary and I felt that there was like something missing from the plot. Like it didn't seem like it was very plot driven, and I guess that makes sense why I'm rating it this, because I'm a very plot driven person, and I feel like this was a very character driven book. So yeah, I also felt that the plot was pretty predictable. Like I could see what was coming at the end, and then when it happened, I wasn't really surprised or anything, because I was like, okay, this is what I expected to happen. Which, being said, is not a bad thing. Like I think it was still a decent book, and I really enjoyed the trans rep in this book. That was like phenomenal. It really dived into somebody being who they are 100%, and not backing down when people are like not accepting them for who they are. They stand up for themselves, and they fully express that this is me and you need to accept that. And I thought that was like so beautiful. It was such a well done addition to this storyline, and I just thought it was so fantastic. And the family ties in this book is just adorable. Like I love their family, and just how they cherish their family so much. And I really enjoyed the spiritual aspect to it, with the Brujos and the Brujas and like their different powers that they had to connect with the spiritual world. I thought that was really cool. One thing I would have liked to see more of was the main characters' interactions with their mother. I just thought that those ones were very heartwarming and nice, and I wanted more of those. But like, I mean, you have to read the book to understand why, but I think that would have been like really cool. And I wasn't too sold on Julian, the ghost boy, at first, but he grew on me. He definitely grew on me as a character, and yeah, I grew to love him. So for those of you that don't know what this book is about, I'm going to read you the synopsis because it sounds better than me trying to like piece it together. So it says, when his traditional Latinx family has problems accepting his gender, Yadriel becomes determined to prove himself a real brujo. With the help of his cousin and best friend Maritza, he performs the Quinces ritual himself and then sets out to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel and set it free. However, the ghost he summons is actually Julian Diaz, the school's resident bad boy, and Julian is not about to go quietly into death. He's determined to find out what happened and tie up some loose ends before he leaves. Left with no choice, Yadriel agrees to help Julian so that they can both get what they want. But the longer Yadriel spends with Julian, the less he wants to let him leave. So yeah, like, there is a lot that goes on in this book between the two main characters, and their kind of like relationship grows, and I really enjoyed that and thought it was a good time. But yeah, I just felt that the plot was lacking just a little bit, which brought it to 3.5. But still, I strongly recommend this book. I think a lot of you would like this book. I'm sure most of you have already read this book because I feel like I'm late to the game getting to it. But yeah, it was a good one. And then lastly, I finished up this book actually a couple days into July, but that is The Goodbye Song by Carl Christian Flores. Now, he sent me a poetry book of his earlier on, I think it was last year. And so this is his new book that has poetry, but it also has more than poetry. It says on the back that it has poems, sonnets, haikus, letters, scenes, objects, definitions, directions, entries, and recipes. So I thought this book was really good. Like, I would give this a 4 out of 5 stars. I don't read that much poetry, but this book was just so insightful into like a person's everyday life, and it really had strong ties on like how social media affects us and kind of brings us out of our lives that we could be exploring in the world outside of actually interacting with social media. Like, for example, going outside, going on hikes, doing things outdoors, and things like that. I thought this book was really good at like kind of showing how it affects us and kind of controls our life. And it definitely inspired me to like want to go on a hike. And so now I'm like kind of like planning out in my head when I can go on a hike somewhere. And yeah, I don't know. Like, I think this book just inspired me to like disconnect from social media a little bit and enjoy being in the moment rather than being on my phone. And I think that's awesome. So yeah, you guys should definitely check this one out if you like poetry, and if you want to kind of have some like life revelations, then I think this book will definitely give you that. And those are all the books that I read in June. So let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these books as well, because I'm always curious to see what your thoughts are about the books that I've read. Also, let me know what your favorite book is that you read in June, because I want to know what books I should be adding to my TBR. My ever-growing TBR that I will never complete, but that's okay. And now, for our independent bookstore shout-out. Okay guys, so today's independent bookstore shoutout is for Gold Rush Bookstore in Rossland, British Columbia, and this is their website. So if you take a look, first of all, I love the patterned books they have in the background. So they have the basic reels that you would get through the store. So these are their best-selling books currently. And they have Read It First, games and puzzles. Oh, I love games, so that's really exciting. Ooh, have any of you played Villainous? I've played this, and it was actually a pretty fun game. They have other gift items. They have a gardening section, cooking section. And then what I love about these bookstores is they always have staff pick recommendations. So it's like each staff member gets a carousel with like all the books that they would recommend. And I think that's so cool. I've read The Glass Castle, really enjoyed it. Read this one as well, did not enjoy it. So I don't know if this person's recommendations they're hit or miss for me. But I like that they have all the different options. They also have a section that's purely just for kids. So it has all the different kids books that they have at their store. Really cool stuff. So if you want to check out this website, go to goldrushbookstore.com. If you guys want to support me, I have a Patreon and a Coffee page, which I'll put in the description down below, as well as a link to buy my bookmarks. You guys know the drill. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification button so you get notified when I post new videos. I post my videos on Mondays and Thursdays. And until next time, keep on reading.